Hello my loves and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Leeor Alexandra. Welcome to the B community. Today's video is another segment from Inner Worlds with Leeor Alexandra. I had my friend Ryan Cropper on. If you haven't heard the whole conversation yet, it was incredible. The link is down below. In today's segment that I want to share with you, we talk about astral sex. It's this very interesting phenomenon that I'm trying to make more mainstream, and that Ryan has been doing that. He's been sharing this. He had a piece with Vice, I'm pretty sure, that was all about astral sex. So I wanted to introduce that to you, or to give you a little bit of context if it's something that you've experienced and you don't know much about it. It's a really interesting part of the human experience, I would say. And without any further ado, let's get into the segment. I want to ask you about like something that it's a little bit out. I mean, this whole conversation is a little bit out there. Tell me if you feel comfortable talking about this. Sure. I've had experiences with astral sex. So
trending.
I think I've talked to you. I've asked you. Is it? Mm-hmm. Is this trending?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna write down this timestamp.
Trust me, it's trending. Vice did a feature with me on Astral Sex, and it got like 5 million views. Yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
I was top 5
I think I've seen your Vice
year.
Thing before.
Yeah, it's trending.
No way.
And
okay.
I was actually told by it being sex, money, and fighting. Like fighting each other will always be trending throughout the course of history and time. If you make any video on those things, you'll go viral.
So I'm talking to the perfect person about this. I think that I've asked you something when it first started happening. When it first started happening, I've had several of these experiences now, and I can kind of just make them happen at whim now. In the beginning, when it would happen, it felt like it was a bad thing. It felt like I was maybe being preyed upon by an incubus. And when I woke up, I'd be really scared. I'd sage the room. I'd close the portal off the best that I knew how to do that. But I would feel that later that day, I felt very lethargic and almost depressed. And I feel like it had to do with those experiences. And so I got scared of them. Later on, when I kind of stepped back into my sovereignty and into my own power, I became a little bit more aware of when an entity is a lower vibrational being kind of thing, and when it's something that is of a higher frequency that I can kind of play with kind of thing. And now I have these experiences, and I'm trying to be very open about this because I wish that people would talk about this, and you clearly have. You've clearly made it mainstream, really, with Vice. But it wasn't like these experiences are not penetrative. It's kind of like an energetic sexual experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you get those with the higher beings, the ones that don't leave you feeling crappy after a while. Yeah, it's intimate, and even the highest ones, you actually become the same thing, and that is why they do it in specific realms. It's more of a merger of two states of being, or you and it, two sides of God. And some of them, they don't even think of it as sex. In those highest ones, it's not even, like, you tell them it's this sex, but what are you talking about? This is something entirely different. And so as you go into the specific realms, those experiences will come at you in different ways.
Would you say that I probably did have this experience with a lower entity when it felt negative?
Yeah. You take on board
That's what
how
it was.
they feel, basically like an impression. And so it's not like they're leaving parasites, astral parasites or entities on you or anything like that.
So I'm curious about a little bit about your experience with that, and is it a positive thing when it feels right? When it feels kind of like you feel kind of like you're getting zapped by bliss, like a pleasurable energy that goes from your head to your toes. And what do you have you experienced that in specific?
Yeah, those ones more so on psychedelics rather than astral projection, the one where it's more emotional and transformative. Not so much in the astral plane, although it was a while ago that I did it in the astral plane like that. And so usually, depending on the type of being or where you're doing it, that will determine the type of experience. From the lower frequencies, of course, you're going to get a lower frequency being, which more often than not is just trying to recreate a physical experience. They don't often know what it's like unless they've been human before. So they'll use your memory
Right.
of those experiences to recreate a kind of
Yes.
tulpa
Okay.
or a thought form of a body.
Right.
And some type of visual as well as sensory experience.
I've experienced an entity kind of trying to form itself into a male body almost, and it wasn't right, and they didn't know what to do with it, right? But they were like kind of trying to work with what my expectations were.
Right, exactly.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that we've been here for a long time and I want to let you go. I still have so many questions, but I would love to have you on if you'll come back, and I know that people would love that. So I wanted to ask you one question that I'm taking from Instagram. Jackie wanted to know, is there any consciousness, person, group, or otherwise that you still want to meet in the astral realm?
I've kind of met everything. Everything I want to meet anyway.
Have you?
Yeah.
How? Oh God, I have to talk to you about reality shifting. I've got to.
Sure.
Okay. First of all, how have you met? Can you explain how you've met somebody that you really wanted to meet?
So what I do is when I'm over there, I ask the realm to take me to the person, and sure enough, the realm that I'm in will take me there. Whether or not they're able to interact with me is a different story.
Are these living people, passed on people, both?
Living, passed on, both. It depends on if I need to communicate with someone who's recently just passed away. If a friend has passed or a family member or something, that helps. Yeah, living or dead.
How do you experience somebody, if it's not too sensitive to ask, somebody who's passed away? Are they reassuring to you when you connect with them? Do they give you any kind of like condolences, like don't worry, like it's amazing over here kind of thing?
Wow, it's actually a little bit of a mess sometimes. I mean, in the beginning, the very first person who came to me whilst I was actively astral projecting was my granddad, I think. The person that I actually knew, at least. Otherwise, it was just a bunch of spirits. That was nice. It made me realize that I can keep seeing people who passed on. That was when I was in college.
Did he give you any sort of message for back then?
No, he didn't. I mean, other than just the kind of vibe that everything was good. But
Yeah.
that's not always the case.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what I...
Because he passed away like a long time ago, and so he had time to figure everything out. I've had people that were close to me pass away through some very, like suicide basically. And when I've met them, literally a day later type of thing, they've been all over the place. And they've always regretted it. I've never met one person who's passed away by choice that hasn't regretted it. And I've met them probably a week before they've committed suicide, and sometimes a few days before. And they've spoken to me about suicide, and they're so certain.
Kind of telling you that they're going to?
Yeah. One person basically did, and she had cut marks all over her arms. It was just a matter of time. She'd been trying for a very long time. And so when she managed to do it, she was so certain that she wanted to do it. But then when she was over there, completely changed her tune, freaked out, and then I visited her regularly until she was okay.
You have a pretty big video, what happens to people after they commit suicide, and is that kind of, were your findings basically that they were all regretting it?